What's going on, my lovelies? It's Kyle here. So I want to mainly direct this video to the empaths out there. This is for you. My message for you empaths is beware of developing a savior complex. Once again, it's good to be wary of developing a savior complex, or even breaking one down if you have developed one to some extent. It could be as little as 1% or 99%. Wherever the degree is, it's best to minimize how much we develop a savior complex. But first, I think it's important to define a savior complex for those who need a refresher, or you might not be even aware of what that is. So, a savior complex is this need that an individual has to fix some people's problems, a need that an individual has to be a helper to an unhealthy degree. And it can even become extreme to the point where you think you're the only person that can save this person. You think you're the only one who can save an aspect of humanity. And this doesn't mean you need to fully believe this, but perhaps you believe it just a smidgen. And I think it's very important for empaths in particular, since we are givers, since many of us are healers in our own way, shape, or form. We don't have to be directly in the healing professions. We don't have to be directly a healer, but many times our presence and our demeanor and the way that we are helps bring more health to people. So, I'm going to focus more on the darkness in which empaths can develop. In the past, it's been a lot of videos and a lot of content talking about, and I'll touch on this for a second. If you do have a bit of a savior complex, this can manifest itself in a way that negatively affects you, to where you experience burnout because you stretch yourself so thin trying to help people, that you might take on too much. You might already have a full platter, but you still choose to stack more and more projects, more and more ways to help people on top of that when you're already at your max capacity. I'm here to tell you, if you are in that boat, dial it back. It's not all on you. Other people can help. And at the end of the day, many people in which you are helping can also help themselves. And there's only so much that you can do as well. And you will be a healthier person. You will have more of an impact with who you work with if you dial it back, you focus on your health a little bit more, and you start living a life where it's good for you. Now, let's get into the darkness of this tendency that a lot of empaths kind of go into, or have we have the potential to be going down this path. So, with the savior complex, there are some empaths, there are some people who have a nurturing, empathetic, giving nature about them, where you develop some codependency, where you're dependent on helping other people to feed your self-worth, where you're dependent on being there for other people to feed your self-worth, to make yourself feel like a good person. It can be very, very selfish at times, to the point where you just fix their problems, but you don't try to teach them. You don't try to build them up. You want to keep them close. So you keep feeding yourself that worth of doing good deeds, of convincing yourself that you're a good person. I'm here to tell you, you can be a good person by being neutral and doing just a little bit of good. You don't have to do good all of the time. Okay? Just a little reminder. Anyways, it's important to check in with ourselves, because we have lighter, gooder aspects of ourselves, and we have darker aspects of ourselves. And the darker aspects, they aren't bad. They just need some sprucing up. They need to bring more health to the darker aspects in many cases. So, we need to check in with ourselves. Are we helping this person because we're trying to feed our own self-worth? Are we helping? Are we taking on this project? Are we choosing to not teach them, to not try to build them up, to not try to make them more independent, so they, in the future, if they come across this problem again, they know what to do and they're fine and they can take care of themselves, because this is the goal as healers, as empaths, as givers. We want to bring health to people. We want to build them up. We want to make them more independent. So if you find your nurturing instinct, it has an unhealthy tinge to it, and sometimes it's good to take a moment to try to strip away all of the blinders, all of the rose-colored glasses that we have about ourselves, and just be blunt and try to be frank and try to be as honest and truthful about our behavior as possible. Because sometimes you need to be completely blunt with yourself. It's like, no, really, I think I am, to some extent, helping this person and wanting them in my life and attracting people who are vulnerable, attracting people who do need help, because it does feed my ego, because it does fill my self-worth up, because I am doing it in some selfish capacity. We need to check in with ourselves too. Empaths aren't all good. I think it's quite clear. So, if you are working with somebody, if you keep bringing people into your lives and you do find yourself having a selfish tendency of wanting this person to be dependent on you, wanting a group of people to be dependent on you because it makes you feel good about yourself, because it gives you a sense of purpose, and you don't want to make them independent, you don't want to build them up, you don't want them to kind of, essentially wean off of you, because if you're unhealthily nurturing, you're going to try to set up situations like that. Because if you do have a savior complex, you are going to set up situations like that. It gets to the point where it is unhealthily selfish to fix people's problems, to give, to be the helper. And you crave it. You need it. And at the end of the day, we shouldn't need to help other people. We should just want to help them because it feels good. Not because it is an addiction. And in many ways, a savior complex is an addiction to feeling needed, to feeling as a savior, to feeling as if we want to build these codependent and enmeshed relationships with other people, where they're the one that needs help and we're the one to help them. We need to go towards a future. We need to go and start building a reality where every single person, for the most part, can handle their problems, where every single person, for the most part, is very independent, but they enjoy connecting with others. They don't need others. They don't necessarily need help all the time, but we just enjoy connecting. And I feel as if there could be many empaths out there, to some extent, that have developed a savior complex, or could potentially go down an avenue in life where they develop a savior complex. It's very important for us to be completely honest with ourselves. It's very important for us to be blunt, to be frank and truthful, to not sugarcoat the truth when you're trying to tell yourself it. We don't want people to be dependent on us. We want to build them up and help them become independent, to become healthier, to solve their own problems. And we shouldn't rely on our own identity being connected to helping others. That shouldn't be a need. It feels good. It feels nice. But it shouldn't be an addiction. So for any of you out there who consider yourself empaths or givers or nurturers, take some time to analyze yourself, to check in, maybe look at the dynamics between you and other relationships that you have? Are you attracting people that do need help all the time? Are you attracting people, or are you attracted to people that you see as fix-it-up projects, that you see that like, oh, I'll spruce them up, I want to spruce them up, that you see are codependent, and you feel this need and want to nurture them all the time? Take a second, analyze it. See if you, to some extent, have developed or have the potential to develop a savior complex. I'll leave it there. Hope you're having a lovely day wherever you're at in the world. And until next time.